Hello, everybody, and welcome to the OLM Working Group meeting. My name is Daniel, and I will be running the meeting for today. We've got a fairly short list on the agendas today, but we'll just go through what we have and check in on one item from last week, and then take care of our post-action stuff. So I'm going to get started by doing a quick demo. So I'm going to share my screen. And I do also have to give a disclaimer that occasionally sharing my screen crashes my laptop. So, oh, and I do see a hand up. So before I attempt that, I'll let you speak.
We did recently reformat the meeting so that we kick it off by looking at the current milestone goals. So I just wanted to
Oh, yeah, that's right. I had those open too. I messed that up. Okay, but again, same disclaimer. I'm going to share my screen. If I disappear, you know what happened. Okay, can everybody see that? All right, I'm looking at the v0.1.0 OLM v1 milestone 3. So I'm just going to go over these real quick. So we've got these 4 milestones, or these 4 tasks here, issues, I should say. It looks like this one is in to do at the moment. Does anybody have something to say on this?
So it's actually in progress right now, but we're just defining we're just coming up with the lower level issues that'll be tied into this issue.
Okay.
So we'll hopefully have something more clean by the time the next issue triage meeting is
Gotcha.
come to the next meeting, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Can we post those in the OLM dev channel when they're created, just so we can get the eyes on it before the next Tuesday?
Yep. Right now we're just scoping out the work that is exactly required. For as soon as something solid comes up and the issues are created, I'll post them in that OLM dev channel.
Great. And we're just talking about this one issue, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Work related to this issue.
Yeah. Great. For the next one, the spec.version field, I believe this was finished, right? I seem to remember that, yeah, that's right. Pair merged this. So this is finished. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so yes, that was finished, but we do need to take the demo that Perry recorded and has on that PR and post it in the as follow-up comment on this top level issue.
Sure.
Because I don't think we've done that. But as soon as we do that, this one should be good to close.
Okay, I can take that as an action item. And 62. Okay, and then, sorry, do you have something else to say there?
I was going to say that we should probably mention which repository the issue is. 162 is.
It's in the. Let's see.
The operator controller?
Yeah, operator controller.
Yeah, because when I'm looking at the doc, I'm probably going to forget.
Right. Thanks. And then the spec dot channel fields. I know that I believe Todd has been taking these tasks on, and this looks like it was completed.
That's done,
Is that
yes.
correct? Okay. And then, and are you working on the follow-up issue as well?
Yes.
170. Cool. Yes, Joe?
So one question I have here, I know that like we currently have some code that essentially puts some, I guess what I'll call like synthetic properties into the bundle entities that for the channel. And then we could go and look at those and produce the right constraints. But I think I made a suggestion somewhere to pair, or maybe it was in a GitHub issue or something. I don't remember where it was, but the suggestion was essentially, should we have like a separate API that doesn't require us to make up these synthetic property types and drop them into the entities, such that when we need to process the channel constraint, we look at like almost directly at the channel definition rather than like trying to stuff something into the bundle and use that. So I don't think that's necessary to solve this, and we can just use what we've got, but just something that I wanted to throw out there is something to keep in mind. I think if we end up putting stuff in bundle properties that captures this channel thing, that might preclude us from some other interesting upgrade edge sorts of things that we might want to do with the resolver. So I don't know if Pear had done anything with this. I know that there's some other ongoing work related to like the resolver pipeline stuff that might help. But anyway, I just want to sort of throw that out there as like we might want to handle channels a little bit differently in the long run. Again, doesn't have to happen as part of this particular scope of work, but I just wanted to plant that seed just in case.
Kita?
I just wanted to ask Joe if, well, what he meant by the, well, more generic format is also on the conversation of using FBC directly within the catalogs.
Yeah, I think that'll play into this, right? Like right now we have this, the only way to get something into the resolver is list entities. But I would imagine that like we might be able to have an even more general resolver thing that's like a bunch of different variable sources, where sometimes the variables come from bundles and sometimes the variables come from channels or whatever. From the resolver's perspective, it doesn't care what the original format is, but from the operator controller perspective, maybe we teach it about the specific channels and bundle types that we can then convert into a variable source. So I think we're probably getting a little bit into design stuff that we can take offline, but I only bring it up just so, you know, Todd, if you're looking at this or if Pear's helping out, if it's something that we think we can tackle at the same time, then it might be worth it. But if not, then, you know, no big deal. We can use what we've got.
Just, I think it sounds like it relates to the work that I'd mentioned. We were scoping out in the integration part of things, but then when I was looking at the repository, it looked like we are doing a lot of things where we are using the current dependency resolver package, and we're just inputting the variable sources and the entity source. Even in the entity source, it's just list entities, all the entities coming in together. And the way we do that is by doing list bundles. So the reason I'm saying that is because what you just said, Joe, that's the same thought that I had, but then it does seem like that's a much larger scope of work that we'll even eventually have to iterate on. But at least for given the pattern that we're already sticking to, which is let's make it work with whatever we've got, and then we'll iterate on things. It sounds like the best option for this issue is to, okay, let's just work with what we have. And then whatever you just mentioned, Joe, is we'll take that as iterative processes in the next milestones or whatever. That's how I was thinking about the catalog integration tool when I was looking at the entity source and the vehicle sources.
Yep, I think that makes sense. What that means, I think, for the catalog integration is that as we build the integration for the catalog D stuff, we'll have to inject these same sorts of properties into the entities that we're sending into DEPI the same way that I think Ankita did in the catalog source OLM v0 integration. But that's fine. Like, we can do that for now and then follow up later with a different thing if we think there's a better way to do it.
All right. If there's nothing else on that topic, I'm going to move on to the last one, which is this. Is this not a subtask of the other one?
It is, yeah.
It is, okay.
Done correctly as well.
Yeah, all right. Then never mind that. Anybody else want to bring something up on the topic of the OLMV1 milestone 3? Okay. In that case, I'm just going to run this quick demo. So one of our goals for the distribution milestone was to basically change the installation script from a whole bunch of lines, which is what it currently is now. If we look here, we've got this big mess of stuff, to just a single script. So this is over in my fork right now. This work has been merged into the main branch, in the main fork, I should say. So our next release should have this included with it. So basically what we do, and actually I'm going to run this while I talk because it takes a little bit. I just have a brand new kind cluster here. So what we do basically is whenever we run a release, we take a few variables from the makefile, which are determining the versions of our dependencies for operator controller. At the moment, that is OLMV0, which we're having to use at the moment for the catalog sources, and then cert manager, as well as ruckpack. So we have those versions set in the makefile, or they're determined from the go mod file with ruckpack. And then every time we run the release, we take those values, generate a script for them or with them. And then inside that script, we basically download the separate installation steps for each of those dependencies, then run them, and then finally install the operator controller, which it's doing now. So that should be up in just a second. Once it becomes available, the script should finish. And there it is. And we've got it running right there. So yeah, so it's a pretty quick demo. I see your hand up, Joe.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, I can't remember, did we also update the main branch to use this same script as part of like the make run sort of setup?
Yes, thanks. Every time I show this, I forget to mention that. Yeah, so the installation script is actually used for make run as well, for the make run target, and therefore also the make end-to-end targets and such. So if you clone the primary fork of the repo and do a make run, you'll be doing essentially the same thing.
That's really cool, because that means we essentially are testing our install script all the time. Which is nice.
Yeah, that was a great suggestion. So thanks for that, Joe. Anything else on this particular topic? If not, then we can move on to our next item. Alex, you're going to talk about the mission statement. I can share this if you want.
Lovely. Yeah. So thank you, Daniel. I created, so I kind of realized that we don't have an official mission statement anywhere. And this is probably not just up to our team to decide, or our group here. We'll need to run it past the steering committee because it certainly seems to fall under their purview. But I've created this issue here so we can at least get it kicked off. It's in the community operator framework / community repository. And I created a HackMD document just so we could iterate pretty quickly on this. If you look at it, that is courtesy of ChatGPT. So it certainly needs a little bit of work. I think personally, I would like to see us move away from being harnessed to automate any application service and workload, and instead focus more so on the fact that we're going to make it easy for anyone to apply the Kubernetes operator pattern to tools that they're working on. But still in a draft mode, and I really, really implore all of you to get involved and help contribute to this mission statement so that we can ensure that we have a general guiding principle as to what it is we're trying to do that can be shared with anybody new to the community as they start getting involved. So thank you for any comments that you will do, and I'll look forward to continuing this conversation.
One question, Alex, where do you want to collect feedback? Do you want to put it like in the issue as comments? Is the HackMD the best place? I'm just curious, like, I guess I worry a little bit like the HackMD, yeah, we can comment on the text that's written there, but it's not easy to like completely disagree and say like, I want something totally different, you know? So I'm just curious what you think the best way for the community to provide feedback is.
Who's typing this, I wonder?
We can just like we can just kind of, everybody should have edit privileges, so if people don't have edit privileges, they can just like completely take this in a different direction. That's probably the fastest way forward. So if there's something like, I like it but I want to tweak it, let's just comment on the HackMD. If you have a completely different idea, we can bring it down here. I could also just go create the PR, take what I've got, like Bryce is saying, and make it against community and then share that. Maybe that's the best collaborative way. How do we feel about that? GitHub discussion. I don't really care. I mean, I just use HackMD because that's what we use for most of our stuff. If something else that's coming out of this needs to be that like, oh, it's hard to collaborate on HackMD. And if that's true, we should stop using HackMD. So like idea, but in terms of how we collect this, I'm happy just to convert this to a discussion. And then I can just make a comment with the current contents of the HackMD. Is that the direction we want to go?
I don't have a strong opinion, but I would worry a little bit myself about like accidentally deleting something out of the HackMD if I have edit privileges without, you know, like it seems like it could be easy for us to accidentally, or anybody to accidentally go and remove something that someone else cared about.
Okay, so I guess my one question then is, do we want to you want me to create a PR that has the current one, or do we want to just frame this within an issue?
GitHub discussion sounds neat to me for this purpose.
Let's try using a GitHub discussion. So I just deleted the HackMD. I've updated the comment, and let's see a way to turn.
Ben's had their hand up for a little bit. Ben, do you want a chance to speak? If you're talking, we can't hear you right now. or at least I can't hear you. Is that true for everyone else?
How about now?
There we go.
It's on the wrong microphone device. Yeah, I don't know if this isn't so much about the mechanics, and I don't know if this is where we want to have this conversation or not, but I've started injecting it whenever I see this. So I'll raise it here, see what people say. But this mission statement says simplify development, distribution, and management of operators. And of course, it's called the operator framework. But I'm wondering what appetite there is to expand or genericize what it is that operator framework is. Maybe not so much the development, but the distribution and management of things that may not be operators or may not be classically considered operators.
Yeah,
That is a good point.
I also wonder, like, if we're going to use the term operators in our mission statement, then what is our definition, right? Like, everybody has maybe a slightly different definition of operator, and I think that's important because it sort of frames which features we're going to accept, which things we're going to have opinions about, which things we're not going to have opinions about, that kind of thing. So I agree, Ben. I think that's an important thing for us to think about. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so I encourage everybody to just bring that to what is now the discussion ticket against community, and maybe we can iron some of these details out here in terms of are we really limiting ourselves to operators, or are we going to be more like a simple package installation tool? Which it's funny that I use the word simple because it makes it more complicated, but I think that's a good thing. Okay.
Ben, you've still got your hand up. Is that from before, or do you have another thing? You're muted right now if you're talking.
No, I was getting back to my laptop. No, sorry, it's from before. I'm done.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no worries. Anything else on the mission statement topic? Okay. In that case, the next item, I don't know if this is actually how we're supposed to do this, so apologies if I'm doing this wrong, but I noticed an action item from last week was to reach out to CNCF about PROW for operator framework. Alex, do you have any updates on this at the moment?
No, I do not.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. And let's see. So I'm going to create the next agenda for next week, and then I don't have to do that here, but before we end things, I do want to ask just generally if there's any topics at all anyone wants to bring up, and then after that we can I'll ask for volunteers for the next host. All right, then let's see. Anybody itching to run the meeting next week?
I mean, I can do it. This is Todd.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Todd. I'll put you down as the host. And then if there's nothing else, then we can end for today. Thanks everybody for joining. I'm gonna stop the recording.